David Duchovny is probably most well known for his amazing acting career, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. He's also a great writer. Like Ted, the main character in Bucky fucking Dent, David Duchovny was born and raised in New York City to a Jewish father. But where Ted is a struggling writer, David has found success in the writing field as the author of 2 successful novels. And these books aren't his only interaction with the literary world. He graduated with a BA in English Literature from Princeton and received a Master of Arts in English Literature from Yale, so he really knows what he's talking about. Today he's here to talk about his newest novel, Bucky fucking Dent. The novel, which was hailed by the Kirkus Review as, quote, a sentimental staccato love letter to baseball, fatherhood, and the passage of time, unquote, follows the story of a father and son reunited by baseball, only to learn that they have more in common than they ever realized. Entertainment Weekly says in the novel, quote, Duchovny finds the humor in poetry and life's lost causes, end quote. This book will make you laugh and cry, and it'll make you want to call your parents. All right, enough of me talking. Please join me in welcoming David Duchovny.
I'm going to do a little reading, but I need 2 things for that. These and a book. This underline. Thanks for coming out. The risk of, I know a lot of you haven't read it, or most of you, or all of you. I'm going to read towards the end, I think. I was thinking in the car. Now talk amongst yourselves as I try to find it. If I was a professional, this all would have been done in advance. All right, this is a short little piece. This is late in the book. Now to give it away, it's not a huge mystery, but the father dies in the book. Shit. So this is the chapter, well, he's going to die in this chapter. I even blew the reading. Anyway, the father's been dying the whole book. And he has this fantasy that if the Red Sox, he is somehow tied to the Red Sox, who hadn't won a World Series since 1918. This takes place in 1978. So his fantasy was that he can't die until the Red Sox win. And in fact, every time the Red Sox win, he seems to be doing better. He's got cancer, but he seems to feel better. And as some of you may know, the Sox were ahead all summer. It's not a baseball book, by the way. The Sox were ahead all summer, and the Yankees caught them and tied them the last day of the season, and they had to play a 1-game playoff, which was up in Boston. And well, the Yankees won. I'm not giving anything away there. And let me go on record as I do believe the Chicago Cubs are going to win this year. I'm not just kissing ass to the home crowd. Although I'm not above that, I will kiss ass. So where was I? When I first wrote this, I wrote it in a screenplay form, and I wanted to make it as a movie. I had just made a movie, and I wanted to keep doing that as a writer-director, and I wasn't able to get it made, yet. I knew it was going to be a low-budget independent film, so when I conceived of the scene, one of the last scenes of the movie is they get to Fenway for the playoff game, and I knew that with a $3 million budget, whatever I was going to have to make, whatever film I was imagining, there's no way I could recreate inside Fenway. I couldn't get inside Fenway. I couldn't fill Fenway. I couldn't afford the period uniforms that the players were going to have. I couldn't afford to clothe the extras that were going to have to be in there. So I got them to the game late, like in the 6th inning, and I parked them in the parking lot right outside Fenway. And in fact, it kind of works. I kept it that way in the novel. In the novel, obviously, it wouldn't have cost me a penny to put them inside. But I kind of liked it kind of mixed or meshed with the feeling of the book, which was like a lot of almosts and a lot of losses and a lot of, things that get fucked up in life, and they don't work out. You have a ticket to the big game and you get lost. So that's what happens. And I think this is right when I think this is right after Bucky Dent has hit the home run. Let me see how much I can read here. I can read you. I'll read you right when Bucky Dent. I'll read you. I'll go over one chapter and into another. That's what I'll do. All right. So they are. Imagine they're in their car, parked outside Fenway. They're the only ones parked outside Fenway at this point. Everybody else is inside Fenway, watching the Sox and the Yankees. So they're listening to Phil Rizzuto, who's a funny New York character who was on the radio at the time. It's a funny feeling because Ted and Marty, even as they are listening, can feel the energy from the nearby stadium. That's me proving to a producer that I can think cheap. Where 32,925 people are focused on the actions of two men playing a child's game. Dent swings at a pitch and fouls it off his ankle. He takes a minute to walk it off. He's in obvious pain and limping, but Lemon, that's the manager, has no choice but to keep him in. Dent steps back in, swings and fouls off another pitch, breaking his bat this time. There's another minute while he heads back to the dugout for a new bat. The Yankee center fielder, Mickey Rivers, in the on-deck circle, tosses one of his own bats to Dent, saying something like, "Use mine, you can't hit anyway." Bucky Dent laughs and walks back out to the plate with Mickey Rivers' bat. Bucky digs in again. Torres, the Boston pitcher, delivers. Dent swings. And then a strange sound comes from the stadium, from Fenway. It's the sound of 32,925 people holding their breath. Tens of thousands of people absolutely quiet, watching the arc of a ball and doing mental calculations of its parabola. And then another odd sound emanates from the stadium, a sickening mixture of disbelief, horror, fear, and animal disapproval. 32,925 souls, minus a few hundred gate-crashing Yankee fans, just got gut-punched. Bucky had lofted a lazy fly ball, but because of the capricious green monster, that easy out became a will-sapping, confidence-destroying, fateful home run. Water had been turned into wine, lead into a lead. The ball cleared the wall. Bucky Dent hit a 3-run homer over the green monster, what the Boston pitcher Dennis Eckersley later called a fucking piece of shit home run. There's a general feeling of panic riding on the air. Shadows are falling and the temperature is dropping in the early October afternoon. There's a quiet in the car except for the radio. Bucky Dent rounds the bases on his way home. Yanks are up 3-2. Phil Rizzuto said, "Don't ask me to say anything. I've been holding my breath, Bill White. I'm in a state of shock. So I'm not going to be much help up here. I'm like a hen on a hot rock. I don't know whether to jump or sit or lay eggs." Marty spoke first. He reached over and turned the radio off, silencing Rizzuto and White and the world. "Bucky Dent. Bucky Dent? Bucky fucking Dent?" "It's okay, Dad. There's a couple innings left. We'll come back. Let's go in. It ain't over till it's over." Marty settled back in his chair, seemingly emptied of hope. "It's over." "It's not over. It's a 1-run lead in the 7th. Far from over. Ted, it's over. I can feel it. I know it." And then Marty just kept repeating in disbelief, "Bucky Dent. Bucky Dent. Bucky fucking Dent." As if he had said it enough, he could turn back the clock, or at least make it make sense to himself. Marty was right. Within the hour, the season would be over. The longingness would continue because of Bucky Dent. Bucky Dent. Bucky fucking Dent. And I'll go into the next chapter a little bit. They drove quietly as they made their way back to New York City, still in shock, really. Ted didn't even put on the Dead. He's a Grateful Dead fan. There were a couple hours outside of the city in middle of nowhere, New England, when Ted finally spoke. "Bucky Dent. 60 years and 6 innings, and then Bucky Dent. Out of nowhere." Marty began to shake his head. "No, not nowhere. Of course, Teddy. Of course it's Bucky Dent. What? I never saw it before. I see it all now, all of it. It's never Mickey Mantle that kills you. Never Willie Mays. Never the thing you prepare for. It's always the little thing you didn't see coming. The head cold that puts you in your grave. It's always Bucky Dent. Ted looked at his father. The old man looked like he was in a trance, like a seer. And don't let the Yankees fool you, Teddy. Life's not about winning. Life's about losing. Yankee fans don't know anything about life, but Boston, Boston knows the truth. Ted nodded and kept his eyes on the road as Marty grew hushed, but continued. Life belongs to the losers, Teddy, like me and you, and Mariana, and Bucky fucking Dent. Don't ever forget that. I won't. Marty settled back in his seat and reclined it. He seemed to be drifting off, but then almost like a benediction, he said, God bless Bucky fucking Dent. Ted smiled and repeated softly to his dad, yeah, God bless Bucky fucking Dent. Ted waited for something else, but Marty had now grown quiet. He looked over at his father, who seemed very, very still despite the bumping of the road. Ted had a bad feeling announce itself. He extended his hand to touch Marty. Dad? Ted rested 2 fingers on his father's neck for a pulse and found none. Checked for breath escaping his mouth, felt none. Ted knew his father was dead. Marty was dead. Ted's father was dead. He looked away from his father and back to the darkening road ahead and said, only to himself now, God bless Bucky fucking Dent. This is true. When I was writing the book, I was speaking with my editor, who's a tremendous editor, Jonathan Galassi at Far Stroud Shiro. And he was concerned that it was a period novel, because it's set in 78, it had to be. And he said, is there any way to set it in the present day? He's not a sports fan. And I said, no, there's no way, because, well, first of all, the Sox have won, which screwed me back in the day when I wrote the script. I was like, fuck it, because 2004 came around, the Sox won, I was like, they screwed me. In the book, it makes a nice epilogue, but at the time I thought it ruined the movie. But I said, no, it's historical, I can't, it's got to be set in 78. And he said, is there a similar situation that's happening now in baseball? And I said, well, yeah, Chicago, but I don't know, there's no real curse. Is there a curse of the goat or something? Bartman? Yeah. I just didn't know how to do it. But, and there wasn't a one-game playoff, and there wasn't the great title, Bucky fucking Dent, although fucking Bartman is kind of but that's true, and since I'm in Chicago, I can tell that story. That's all I'd like to open it up to Q&A now, so I can answer your questions, rather than tell you anything else. I got nothing else to tell you about it, really. Oh, look at that. Do you have a microphone? Are you going to give it? You will give it to me?
Hi, happy Sunday.
Hey.
If budget was no option, what project would you do?
If what was no option?
Budget.
Oh, budget.
Monday.
Budget really isn't an obstacle for me because I don't really conceive of movies or things to do that cost a hell of a lot of money. I've never had an idea that was going to cost more than a couple $1 million. Like, even though that's money I gotta find. So I wish I could shoot it for 10 or 100,000 or whatever, but that's just not feasible. Because you have to pay people. It's just, they want to work and they got to get paid. So, It's never, that's never, excuse me, I just stayed on the way here. All day. Nobody wants to hear me burp into an apple pie.
I'll listen to whatever you want.
Wow. Touche. So no, I mean, I guess the closest, like, when I would write a script for the X-Files, that's the biggest budget thing I would have ever written or conceived of, because I don't even lean towards supernatural stuff in my own thought process and a way of writing. So when I knew I was going to write for the X-Files, I kind of tuned into that and turned the story for that. And that's probably the biggest budget thing I've ever done, would be just an episode of television. Probably the biggest thing I'll ever do, I think. Watch me doing Star Wars next. You prostitute.
I think it was Hemingway that said, write drunk, edit sober. So my question is...
Write drunk, edit sober?
Yeah.
I wish I'd heard that.
I actually teach my English students that. I probably should.
Oh yeah, the fifth graders, are they?
Ninth. So my question is, your original manuscript,
Yeah.
how much did your editor make it bleed, and how did that feel?
Oh, not much at all. He's really, you know, because I did Holy Cow with him too, and I think both, I think Holy Cow was such a weird hybrid thing. You know, is it for kids? Is it for adults? And like, I didn't know, and I thought I didn't have to know, because I thought I've been being asked those questions in Hollywood forever. You know, if I have an idea, who's it for? And I don't know who it's for. It's for people that like things that are good. I don't know who it's for. But you have to answer that question when you do anything in show business. And there's a bottom line. People, you know, they put a lot of money on the line. They want to make it back. So I get it. But I thought in book selling, I wouldn't have to answer that question. So I was surprised. People wanted to know, is it for kids or is it for adults? And I couldn't answer. I still can't answer. It's a weird hybrid thing. But Jonathan saw it that way. He didn't ask me to answer it. Whatever edits we did had nothing to do with that. Same with Bucky Dent, not with that question. This was clearly a novel for adults. But the edits, you know, they were just sometimes stylistic, he's very kind of hands-off with me. I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure how he is with other writers that he has. But he's a very good editor. He's the only editor I've ever had. So, and I'm going to work with him on this next one, which I think he might cut out this one. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, David.
Hi.
We came all the way from Mexico. We're really happy to see you and my friends. So I was wondering, first, are we expecting soon any other book? Because I know you have a lot of success with Holy Cow and now this one. Are we expecting something new soon,
I'm
or
working on
something
something.
or something? Yeah.
I'm working on something, but
What kind of
it's
something?
being difficult.
Can you give us a hint or something, please?
What can I say? It's probably... No, I can't really say anything, but hopefully you'll like it. And
I will.
I had this... I had this discussion with somebody the other day about time, and they were way smarter than me, like they knew about physics and shit like that. They were saying, the future is already fixed. I mean, it's not just the past that's fixed, it's the present. And the present is like vibrating in order to get in line with a fixed future and a fixed past. And that's the feeling of things that haven't happened yet. And I'm like, that may be true, but it feels false. I don't know. And then when I was writing, I had this image that my book that I'm working on right now, it's called Miss Subways anyway. It takes place in New York, I can tell you that. That Miss Subways was already written, because that's the truth, if the future's fixed. it's written and it's great. And I'm sitting here in the present, and the worst I can do is fuck it up. I'm taking dictation from the future of a book that's already written, trying to listen, and all I can do is do badly. Or not. Anyway, I can tell you that has nothing to do with the book.
Congratulations. Gracias.
Hello, David.
Any physicists here want to dispute my conception of time? Yeah, no? You don't think so? You don't think that's true?
No, I think that's perfectly true.
See, look at that.
Because everything is fixed. You have to think about it just like they talk about fate and destination.
Right.
Some way, somehow, everything happens for a reason.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That was not a reference. That was not a reference.
Okay.
That was
That
like...
didn't sound scientific towards the end. Anyway, go ahead. You go ahead.
First of all, big fan of David Duchovny. My name's David too.
All right.
I have to write a 10-page paper about electronic health records, and it's due by tonight.
Teacher over here.
Instead of turning
Says
it,
get drunk. Just connect.
what do you do for writer's block? Because I couldn't think of anything. And you wrote 2 good books. So what is your muse for when you can't think of anything?
Oh. That's tough. I think writing is mostly discipline. Not mostly, but a lot of it is discipline and just sitting down. You can sit down and start writing and see where you go. Just write your thoughts and see where that takes you. Because I guarantee you won't get any writing done by not writing. That I do know. Your paper is already written, by the way. Maybe not.
Hi, David. So your relationship that you wrote out about Ted and Marty, obviously that's something that some people go through that others do not. I just want to say that you captured that wonderfully. How much from your life with your kids initiated your relationship between Ted and Marty?
Not much at all. Not only is it not like my relationship with my kids, but it's not like my relationship with my father was either. The character Marty is really just like a voice in my head in a way. It wasn't based on my father. A couple of minor autobiographical, biographical details about my dad. For instance, he was a softball pitcher on a Puerto Rican softball team. He was a Gringo #1 on that team. He was an excellent softball player. Not that big ball game you play here in Chicago without gloves, which you can have. I don't get that one. What do you call it?
16-inch.
See, what is that? It's too complicated. I'm not complicated enough. But my dad, not like that. I'm not like that as a dad. I don't know where it came from. Some things you do make up. Some things just come from other places, and I don't know.
That was
Ted's not much like me either, so just kind of the circumstances that I saw the book taking place in, a guy who was in his mid-30s and hadn't started his life. Wasn't me. It wasn't really ever me. So I just had to I just had to start hearing that. I don't know. The research helps, like deciding he was a Grateful Dead head. That took me in a certain direction, because I'm not. Although now I appreciate them. So very little, actually, I have to say.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, right, it is a good thing. Yeah.
Hiya. I was wondering, especially at the beginning of the book, Ted's frame of reference, I mean, it's a little bit pretentious, but it comes from so many different places, so many different references, philosophies, literature. How much of that comes from you, and what are your kind of inspirations and influences when you write?
Did you say Ted was pretentious?
Yeah. Sorry.
You mean he's educated? Huh?
I'm just going to dig myself a really big hole.
No, I mean, I don't want to. You don't need to argue, and I'm not mad or anything. But I don't see him as pretentious. I see him as somebody that's done a lot of reading.
Yeah, I suppose he's just quite self-conscious in that the very first couple of chapters, there's a lot of references crammed in, which I kind of liked because then he moved away from it. So, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting. What was there a question on the end of that?
Yeah, I was wondering about your kind of influences when you write writing philosophy, literature. Whether basically, I had to get a thesaurus out and was.
For what word?
I'm just going to go.
I did not use a thesaurus. I'll tell you that. I don't know that I have. I would worry if I was my motor, and maybe I could have pruned that a little. Maybe it starts a little slowly, but I was really. I wasn't writing a best-selling novel in my head. I wasn't writing like this Before the Fall or any book that was big this summer that's a thriller. In my mind, I was writing an art book. I was writing a novel in the tradition of 20th century novel writing and not mass market bestseller books. So I figured, fuck it, I'm going to take my time. I don't have to get into the story. It was kind of a rebellion against what I'd have to do as a screenwriter, just get right into it, which you should do in a movie. But you don't have to do in a novel. But you don't want to wear out anybody's patience either, so it's a fine. Clearly, I wore out yours, so this is fine.
Was writing this book any easier considering you knew the process you were going to have to go through? Because it was your second book, obviously.
Was writing it easier considering what?
You knew the process you were going through to write it.
No, because it was a very different book. It was really. I mean, holy cow! Like I said, I felt like I was just kind of creating one of a kind thing. Which are you filming this? You get it? It's excellent stuff. And whatever you do, make sure you film it and don't listen to me. Make sure you film it.
I'll tag you when I put it on Twitter. Like a retweet.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So no, I don't think it was different. I think Holy Cow was just a unique situation. And Bucky was, I felt pressure because I felt like I was trying to enter into a world of serious fiction writing. And so I felt some of that pressure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is not question of the book. But
Yeah. Right next to it. All right.
they were playing your music earlier.
Yeah.
And I was in London and saw you, front row. It was amazing. When's the second album coming out?
I'm going to try to record in November.
Cool.
I've got a bunch of songs and we're going to try to make them nice.
Is it as good as the first one?
Is it as good as the first one?
Are there any featured
I don't know.
artists going to be on it?
I think so. I hope so.
Any featured artists going to be on it? I hope so.
I think there's that one word.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Last one.
Hi, David. I was wondering, you mentioned you were working on a new book, but how many ideas did you have or start that you didn't pursue? A lot?
I guess I have a few ideas that I think are possibly novel-worthy, and I've chosen among those to try to start one. But you don't know. You know, that's the funky thing about it, is you can put in a lot of time and realize, you know what, this doesn't work. It's not a novel. I don't know what it is. So I'm kind of at that point with this one where I'm kind of in the middle of it, and I feel like you're rolling a big rock up a hill, and you're waiting for that moment when it starts to roll on its own, you know, momentum down the hill. I haven't gotten there yet. I don't have a ton of ideas, no. but I kind of recognize, I think I can recognize an idea that can sustain the length of a novel. That's what writing Bucky kind of helped me with that, because I thought I had a novel-length story to tell, and it turned into, you know, a length of a novel that I like 300 pages, you know, not War and Peace, but not Holy Cow either, which was real short.
Well, thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
All right, we're just going to take a couple minutes before we get the signing started.
What are we going to do?